Good afternoon to distinguished guests, esteemed faculty members, and my dear Carmelites. I, Akshata Prohit, Secretary of Humanities Association, warmly welcomes each and one of you to our insightful session today. So, before we embark on our journey together, let us all take a moment to center ourselves in the spirit of reverence. I would request each one of you all to put your mobile phones on either silent mode or kindly switch it off. Further, I would request each one of you all to join me in a moment of prayer as we invoke our blessings onto the gathering we all are part of. Thank you. I would request our VP, Ms. Nisha, to give the token of appreciation to Mr. Arvind Kannan. We all are gathered here for one of the most insightful sessions on animal activism and veganism. I am immensely honored to introduce our today's speaker, Mr. Arvind Kannan. Thank you. Arvind is a passionate animal rights activist, vegan educator, and an environmentalist. His journey began when he recognized animals' immense suffering in various institutions. This made him realize and embrace the facts of veganism and dedicate his lifestyle in advocating their rights. Today, Arvind Kannan is not just an activist, he is a movement in himself. His videos, speeches, and writings have reached millions. He has educated people on ethical, environmental, and medical benefits of vegan lifestyle. His content isn't informative, they are transformative. Arvind's agenda is very clear as he promotes cruelty-free, compassionate lifestyle and fight against all forms of animal exploitation. What sets Arvind apart is his genuine love for all living beings. And guys, when I say genuine love for all living beings, it literally means every single living being. So, without any further ado, let us all welcome on stage an extraordinary individual, a trailblazer for animal activism, and a true advocate for compassion, none other than Mr. Arvind Kannan.
Check. Okay, first of all, Akshita, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Thank you everybody gathered here for giving me a chance to come to your institution and speak. Like she mentioned, my name is Arvind Kannan and I am an animal rights activist. Now, before I begin my speech here today, I want to give out a few short disclaimers to the audience. Like she had mentioned, if you have a mobile phone, please consider keeping it on silent or switching it off, as I prefer not to have any distractions during my presentation. Now, I will be speaking for around 40 to 45 minutes at max, and I'll try to keep it not too boring for you guys. I'm pretty sure, as I'm speaking here today, you'll be having a lot of questions on your mind. I would request people to please take out a pen and paper if you want to do so and note down your questions, and please feel free to ask any question that comes to your mind once I am done speaking here today. The thing is that I don't want any questions to come up during my presentation. I'll only be speaking for 40 minutes, after which we'll have the floor open for Q&A for at least an hour. So please take your questions up until then. Now, my speech obviously is about veganism and animal rights. You can say this is kind of a controversial subject to speak about. So there will be parts during my speech where you'll think, oh my god, you know what, this guy is amazing. I agree with everything he says and he's awesome. There will also be chances during my speech you'll think, oh my god, I hate this guy. I wish he would just disappear. There will also be some jokes in my speech and also some serious parts. Feel free to laugh when I'm making jokes. Please don't laugh when I'm being serious. And with that, I think we'll begin. So, now, this whole concept of veganism is something you might have heard of, and this is what I want to do today. If you notice this picture carefully, it's not actually a picture, it's a jigsaw puzzle. Can you see that? They have these puzzle pieces in between. That's how I want to present today's information. Basically, I want to give each slide I'm going to show is basically a piece to this puzzle, and once I'm done speaking here today, you will have all the pieces. And if you choose to put them together, hey, well, that's completely upon you. With that, we'll start. My first question to the audience is, do you guys like animals in general? Yeah, okay. Imagine right now you're walking on the road and you're eating a packet of biscuits and suddenly you see a dog next to you wagging his tail. Would you give that dog a biscuit? Yeah? Okay. Let's say you're walking on the same road right now, but now you see the dog sleeping in the corner over there. Suddenly you see a person take a stick and hit that dog. Now, if you witness that happening in front of your eyes, would you consider that action to be as animal abuse? Yeah, you guys know what animal abuse means? To hurt an animal unnecessarily. Now, let's say you're walking along the same path, but this time instead of a dog, you see a goat sleeping, bakra. Same person takes the same stick and hits the goat. Now, would you consider that to be as animal abuse as well? Yeah, for the dog you had a big yeah. For the goat it's like, yeah, okay, maybe. Final question. Now, if that goat is taken from the streets to a room like this, where he or she is killed, cut up into small pieces, mixed with masala, we add basmati rice, press it for a good 45 minutes, take it out, put it on a plate, and give it to everybody in this room, the side of curd and raita. Now, when you get that plate, would you say, "Oh my God, animal abuse," or would you say, "Oh my God, biryani"? What would be your reaction? Be honest. Biryani. Thank you so much. So, you guys have actually learned a new word without even realizing it, and that word is called as, next slide please, speciesism. Now, I understand that this picture could be a little disturbing and painful to look at, but this picture depicts the harsh reality of society that we are living in. Let me define this word for you. Speciesism can be defined in a form of hatred or discrimination taught to young human children, be it by their parents, teachers, religion, culture, or the very society that they're brought up in. Speciesism teaches us that we humans are for some reason superior to animals, and therefore we have the right to enslave, torture, and kill any animal as we see fit without any penalty. Speciesism also teaches us that the lives of some animals are more valuable than the lives of other animals. I want everyone in this room right now to please observe both these animals, the dog and the pig. Don't they both have eyes to see, a nose to smell, ears to hear, a mind to think, a heart to beat, and blood to bleed? When we think about it, aren't both these animals pretty much equal? Well, if they are equal, then why do we not treat them equally in our society? It's the question I want us all to think about today. Now, just like the word speciesism, I'm sure you all would have heard of words like racism, sexism, casteism. Now, what do these words mean? To treat a fellow human being as a lesser being, deny them equal right to society, all because of their race or where they come from or their skin color is called as racism. To deny a fellow human being equal right to society, deny them the right to vote, the right to education. If a man did this to a woman, we would call that as sexism or misogyny. Similarly, if we had people of two castes and we discriminated them based solely upon their caste, it's called as casteism. Now, all of these are different forms of discrimination. But the question that I want us to think about is, where did discrimination come from? What is its origin? When we humans are born into this world, do we know that we have to like only these certain people? And we have to dislike or hate these certain people? And should be biased towards some people? No. You see, when we humans are born in this world, we are born as a blank slate. If you were to right now go to the nearest playground, where you saw a bunch of kids playing who are just like 4 years old, and you ask the child there, what do you think of your friend's skin color, their religious background, or how much money your friend's father makes? The child will say, I don't care. All I see is a friend. Understand that when we are born, we are not taught to hate or discriminate. It is something we learn later in life. Similarly, if you were to take right now a child to a sanctuary, a farm animal sanctuary where there are so many animals, cows, chickens, pigs, fish, goats, ducks, sheep, donkeys, horses, dogs, cats, you name it, all the animals. And we told the child, please go and play with the animals. Would that child know he's only supposed to play with the cat and the dog, or would that child play with all the animals? If we gave that child food and told him, please go feed the animals, would he know he's only supposed to feed the cat and the dog, or would he feed any animal that approached him? And finally, at the end of the day, if we took that child aside and asked him the question, which of your animal friends would you like to have brutally killed for your evening dinner? That child would say, none of them. We have to understand, just like every other form of discrimination, speciesism is taught. We learned this. We were told to feel sad and upset if we read in the newspaper that somebody had killed an elephant and stolen her tusks. But the same society told us that it's apparently our right to forcibly make animals pregnant, torture them, kill them, consume them because they exist on earth just for us. We've been sold a certain story since we are born, and what I want us to do today is just take a step back and question it. I think it's important that we in society have an open mind and question everything that we've been taught. And it's important we take a step back right now and ask ourselves whether the way we view certain animals in our society is right or wrong. Next slide. Now, just like speciesism, there's also another word to introduce you guys to, and that is called as veganism. Now, veganism is the exact opposite of the word speciesism, meaning that a vegan is someone who has the mindset or philosophy that animals have the right to live on earth just like us human beings, and that we are not superior to them. You see, the word veganism unfortunately sounds very similar to the word vegetarianism. Now, what is vegetarianism? A vegetarian is basically a person who does not consume the flesh of any animal, be it for religious reasons, cultural reasons, spiritual reasons, environmental reasons, could be whatever, right? Veganism, however, is very, very different from vegetarianism. Let me explain how. Firstly, since we vegans believe that animals have the inherent right to be on earth like us, we don't consume the flesh of any land or sea animal. Similarly, we vegans also don't consume any honey or eggs. It's important to note that vegans do not consume any dairy products. No milk, ghee, curd, cheese, butter, lassi, chas, paneer, kulfi, ice cream, milk chocolate, double cheese pizzas. Basically nothing that comes from animals is consumed. Vegans also do not wear any leather, wool, silk or fur. No, my belt, my shoes and my wallet are not made of leather. Vegans do not go to the zoo or circus. Understand, it will be fun for us to go to the zoo one day and take a selfie in the tiger's cage. It's not fun for them to be locked up there for all their lives. Similarly, vegans do not buy any animals in the name of pets from breeders. We don't use any cosmetics that are tested on animals. We don't support the use or exploitation of any animals in the name of culture, tradition or religion whatsoever. So vegetarianism means it's a form of diet that people choose to follow for certain reasons. Veganism is not a diet. It's a philosophy that extends to all aspects of animal rights. If animals are being exploited somewhere, we vegans do not condone it. I hope you guys understand the distinction here. Now, no matter how much ever I speak about this, it truly is very hard to make people understand what it really feels like to be an animal in this world. Because I really feel that the only way to get to the root of any problem is by us trying to put ourselves in the other person's shoes and asking, how would I feel if that action were to happen to me? Now, I'm pretty sure many people here do eat meat, dairy, eggs and honey. But my question to you would be, have you ever been to a slaughterhouse, an egg farm or a dairy farm yourself? Now, we're all not going to go on a field trip right now to the nearest slaughterhouse. But instead, I have brought with me here today a 3-minute long video that shows us exactly what happens inside modern day egg hatcheries, dairy farms and slaughterhouses in India. Before I play this video, I have to give out a very important trigger warning to the audience. The footage you're about to watch is indeed very much graphic in nature. I repeat, this is indeed graphic in nature. If you're someone who's extremely sensitive, someone who does not want to watch this video, no one's here forcing you, no one's here judging you. Okay, you don't have to watch, feel free to just cover your eyes. But in case you don't like what you see here today, and you feel the need to look away or cover your eyes, all I want you to do is just think about one thing. If what you see on stage here today is not good enough for your eyes, when you turn away, ask yourself, but then why is this good enough for my stomach? And with that, I request for the video to be played. I first want to take a moment and thank everybody in this room for keeping their eyes open and watching that video, or at least for trying to watch that video. I understand that video is not easy to watch. That video was not shown with the intent to shock you or to disturb you, although the video is indeed very shocking and disturbing in nature. Now, every single human being in this room here is actually capable of a superpower, and it's called as empathy. Do you guys know what empathy means? Sympathy means that if I see something bad happening, I say, so sad, and that's it. It's over. Empathy means I now ask the question, how would I feel if I were in that person's position? So I request everyone in this room right now to ask the question to yourself, not how it feels for you to watch a 3-minute video of animals being horribly tortured and killed, which I know is hard in itself. I completely am aware of that. But ask yourself instead the question, how you would feel if the day that you were born, someone else had already planned the day of your execution. The day that you are born, someone takes you away from your mother and puts you into a cage, where food and water is shoved down your throat just to make you fat. Then once you reach a particular size, 2 hands grab you and they throw you onto a lorry that's headed straight to a slaughterhouse. And at the slaughterhouse, someone grabs you by your legs and hangs you upside down so that they can take a knife and slice your throat, drain your blood, peel your skin, pull your guts out and chop you to 1,000 pieces, all so that someone else can cook you and eat you. Let's all use empathy for a second and ask ourselves the question, how we would feel if we were in the animal's position. Shall I tell you how you'd feel? If you were in their position, you would be hoping and praying that someone like me would be standing up for you and doing anything I can in my power to protect you and convince others not to harm you. In fact, if you were in their position, you would want the whole world to go vegan like that. But then we have to ask the question, why are we not doing that for them? Now, after seeing a video like this, people do understand exactly what happens inside a slaughterhouse. Obviously, it's horrific and violent. That's why vegans don't choose to eat meat. But why don't vegans eat eggs? Why don't vegans eat dairy? You don't have to necessarily kill an animal for that, right? You see, first in the egg industry, when an egg hatches, there's a 50% chance for it to be a male, 50% chance for it to be a female. Female chicks grow up and become hens, and hens lay eggs. Male chicks become roosters, and roosters do not lay any eggs. So if I was an egg farmer, and I had with me 100 chicks here, 50 male, 50 female, what's the point in keeping those 50 male chicks alive? Because they will actually grow larger in size than the female, they will even consume more feed, they will need veterinary care, and then they won't be giving me any eggs for me to exploit from them and make money. They're a loss for me. So the day that they are born, they are segregated based on gender, and all the male chicks are ground up alive. I'm pretty sure if I hadn't shown that footage, that's real by the way, nothing is fake here. If I hadn't shown that, I'm pretty sure many people here will not actually believe me on this. Now, once they segregate them, the female chicks are then taken and they have their sensitive beaks and toes sliced off. Okay, so that part is called de-beaking. The reason they do it is because they put them in these really cramped, tiny, confined cages where they can't even spread their wings. So these are animals that need more space. So they begin pecking the neighboring bird in order to be able to spread their wings. But such pecking will cause damage of flesh. Damage of flesh leads to an infection. Infection leads to death. Death leads to less egg production. Less egg production leads to loss for the egg farmer. So in order to maximize his profits, he cuts off their beaks and their toes. Now, any bio students here? Quite a few. Okay. Let me know if what I'm saying here is biologically correct or incorrect. What is an egg? I mean, all female animals have eggs in them. Every single woman in this room has eggs inside of them. And that egg is discharged once a month. It's called as a menstrual cycle. You are aware when an unfertilized egg comes out of a chicken, that too is a part of the chicken's period, right? So, in the wild, a chicken can lay naturally 12 to 14 eggs per year, which is pretty much on par with what most, even us human mammals do. But in the egg industry, they are forced to lay an egg every single day. So you now have to empathize and think, how much pain and suffering and discomfort must this organism be feeling every single day of her life in order for me to procure that one object that she is forced to discharge from her body? They've been genetically modified to do so. After a few years of laying eggs like that, once they've lost all their feathers, they have no strength at all in their body, when they can't lay another egg at all, they are then taken and they're sold off to the meat industry to be killed for their flesh. It's for this reason we vegans do not support the egg industry. Then comes the question, what about milk? Again, bio students, every knows I'm right or wrong in this. What is milk? First of all, let's think of it this way. A mother monkey makes milk for a baby monkey. Mother giraffe makes milk for a baby giraffe. My mom made milk for me, not for any of you. Now, cows make milk for her calf, exactly. But what have we been told since we're young? Cow gives us milk. Cow gives us milk. I can assure you with my life that there's no cow on earth in any dairy farm that gives us their milk. We take it from them. When a baby mammal is born, we do not have solid teeth, so we cannot chew solid food. That's why the mother mammal provides them with milk. Now, when do you think any female mammal produces milk? It's called as lactation, either when they're pregnant or after having given birth. The question now is, how does a female cow or buffalo get pregnant in an Indian dairy farm? If you guys did see that part about the video about artificial insemination, where a female cow or buffalo is forcefully held against her will, a man actually takes his fist and shoves it into the cow's rear. Then a steel catheter containing bull semen is directly shot into her uterus, forcibly making her pregnant against her will. We all have to think about this for a moment. To forcibly make a female pregnant against her will, if that action were to happen to a woman in our society, what on earth would we call it? But if done to a cow or buffalo, we call it as milk, ghee, curd, and all other delicious snacks that we eat. This is the first step to any kind of dairy farming or any kind of animal farming. Understand that without exploiting the female reproductive cycle of an animal, you cannot breed animals. Have you heard this word called breeding? We use it so casually. We humans breed animals. What does that actually mean? What does it signify? Breeding means we are now going to sexually exploit this female animal and the reproductive cycle so that she can give birth to more animals, and we can stick a tag on them, a barcode on them, and say, hey, look, we have created a commodity, a product. It's the abuse and exploitation that's happening to a female animal that we have so cleverly called as breeding. In case the baby born is a male, just like in the egg industry, a male becomes a bull, bulls can produce milk. So again, the baby is separated from the mother. And when that happens, the mother screams for days and days for the stolen baby to be given back. Now I understand that when I've spoken in so many places to thousands of students, I understand when I come to this part, people are like, you know what, I agree with what he says, but I don't like one thing he does. Why does he keep comparing humans and animals? That just doesn't make sense. And you know what, I agree with you on that, partially. When it comes to intelligence, cognitive capacity, and technology, completely I'm with you. Animals are not same as us. We are far superior in them. But the point I want to stress upon is when it comes to pain, suffering, love, and joy, animals are 100% our equals. And the pain and suffering a mother cow feels when her baby is separated from her at birth and taken away is the exact same pain any human mother would feel if she were held down forcibly after giving birth to her baby and the baby was snatched away from her arms. That baby is then taken and sold to the slaughterhouse to be killed because the supple skin of a calf can be turned into leather shoes, belts, jackets, and purses. Understand, what is leather? It's the skin of a baby animal. Now, in case she gives birth to a female, it's a female calf, that calf is also taken away from her mother and she is given some kind of special liquid formula, and then all of her rightful milk is stolen, put into packets and sold to us. Now when a human being decides to get pregnant, it's usually a decision made between herself and her spouse. If she's lucky, she'll have a loving family to take care of her during the difficult period, and also probably her work can give her maternity leave. Understand that cows and buffaloes in Indian dairy farms don't experience such luxuries. Like I said, animals are treated as objects, as commodities. If I own 10 cows here, they are resources for me to make money from. So once she has given birth, the baby is taken away, and she just gave birth, say, a few weeks ago, do you think I'm going to be so nice and be like, you know what, she just gave birth this year, we'll make her pregnant next year? No. If you wait until she stops making milk, I have to forcefully make her pregnant again. Take the baby away and again, and take the baby away and again, and year after year after year, after forced impregnations and baby stealing, this animal is both physically and mentally distraught. At that point, when she is no longer a profit to the dairy industry, what do you think happens to her? Do you think she goes to a retirement home to live the remainder of her life happily, or she gets her head chopped off in a slaughterhouse? In this country, there are some places where cow slaughter is considered illegal. So what they do is they round up those cows and they send them straight to my state, Tamil Nadu, or Kerala, where they are hacked and killed. Now it's for this reason, forced impregnations, baby stealing, and finally killing of the animal, vegans also do not support the dairy industry. Now, I have good news. One good news is that we have covered over the difficult and serious portion of the lecture right now. And I'm pretty sure when you guys decided to come here today, you didn't think like, this is what you're coming over here. Now after me making these arguments, I'm pretty sure some of you think like, you know what, fine, he has some good points. I agree with him. And I might be interested, I might be inclined to actually become a vegan. But the question still remains. You said no meat, no dairy, no eggs or honey. So what on earth do you vegans even eat? Is there any food left? You'll be surprised to know that 90% of the food you're already eating on a daily basis happens to be vegan by default. If you don't believe me, just check this out. Idli, dosa, chutney, sambar, puri, masala, chapati, kurma, poha, upma, pongal, khichdi, uttapam, idiyappam, lemon rice, tomato rice, coconut rice, coriander rice, pudina rice, tamarind rice, veg biryani, veg fried rice, Shezwan noodles, gobi manchurian, mushroom manchurian, dairy corn 55, bhel puri, pani puri, vada pav, samosa. You guys eat all these kinds of foods? Thank you. Thank you so much. You guys eat these kind of foods, right? You have to understand that our traditional Indian foods and Indo-Chinese cuisine is either vegan by default or can easily be veganized by merely removing the dairy component from it. For example, instead of cooking with paneer, have you guys heard of something called as tofu? It is soy-based paneer. It doesn't involve animal cruelty. It's actually cheaper than cow milk paneer and it doesn't even have any cholesterol in it. Why not just make that simple switch? Similarly, instead of using ghee or butter when you're cooking, why not just use oil instead? Instead of using curd or some other kind of cream to thicken your gravies, why not just use coconut milk instead? Understand that we have now come to a point in time with human technology where we can replicate even meat-like taste and textures. Have you guys heard of something called as mock meat? Yeah, they use soy and then mushrooms and some other kind of flavorings in order to create these products that look, smell, taste and have almost an identical texture to meat, but is not actually made of meat. So instead of using actual animal flesh to cook your meals, why not use that instead? Understand that it's not complicated or difficult to be a vegan. And I don't know why. Whenever I speak, the moment people hear I'm vegan, the first thing they say is, vegan, huh? Must be a rich guy. Must be drinking almond milk every day. Must be eating avocados on toast. Now, I have a confession to make. I am 33 years old. I've been vegan for the past 10 years. I have never eaten a single avocado in my life. I don't even know what they taste like. Similarly, almond milk, fine. I have bought it twice in these past 10 years of being vegan. And it cost me 450 rupees per liter. And honestly, tasted like garbage. Like, it's just like running water. When I say vegan, I don't mean extravagant, fancy, Western things that you cannot afford or get. I'm talking about traditional Indian foods that we have been consuming for thousands of years and we can choose to continue consuming for thousands of years more. I hope you guys understand that the moment I say vegan, I don't want you to think of something crazy, okay? Veganism is not something that is expensive or unaffordable. If you're someone who can afford meat, dairy, eggs and honey, then please understand you can afford grains, legumes, fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds. They're not more expensive. Now, next slide, please. Okay. Now, people obviously don't eat meat because we enjoy killing animals or something. We eat it because we need protein, right? When I say meat and eggs, you say protein. So first of all, the question is, what is protein? Protein is a compound made up of various different amino acids. The human body has two different kinds of amino acids, essential and non-essential. Essential is what your body has to get from an outside source, and non-essential is what your body can fabricate by itself. The human body has 11 essential and conditionally essential amino acids, namely cysteine, histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, tryptophan, tyrosine, and valine. All of these 9 essential and 2 conditionally essential amino acids are found in plant foods. Next slide. You have to first of all understand something here. When you eat meat, you must have heard this word called a complete protein. Meaning that when you consume animal products, you are getting a protein in which the amino acids are in such a way that your body is in the right way for your body to just absorb and use, exactly how you need it to be. But when you're consuming a plant source, it's not exactly the same. The reason is because, for example, take a food like rice. You might think rice is a carbohydrate food, and you'll be right for thinking that. But rice too contains some amount of protein in it. If someone were to right now eat only white rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the next 3 months, they'll end up with something called as a lysine deficiency, which is an amino acid, because lysine is very, very low in rice. But who on earth eats only white rice? We eat rice, dal, and vegetables. Basically, the lysine found in the legumes here compensates for the lack of lysine in the white rice and makes it a complete protein. If you didn't understand what I said, let me break it down in a more simpler way. What is Rajma Chawal? Rice and a form of legume, complete protein. What is idli? Again, rice and urad dal, complete protein. What is, no one just eats plain chapati. You eat chapati with some kind of a side dish, right? Complete protein, done. Now, in case you want even more protein, something like soy chunks here, which is dirt cheap, has 52 grams of protein per 100 grams. That is higher than pretty much any animal source on the planet. And soy is actually a complete protein. If you're someone who's an athlete and saying to me, listen, but I just need even more protein, I work out and stuff, I even take these whey protein supplements, you have right now plant-based protein supplements on the market. Understand that options are available for everything. Next slide. Now, people might believe it's possible to get protein without meat, but is it possible to get calcium without milk? First of all, what on earth is calcium? Calcium is a mineral that's found in the earth's crust, not magically found inside a cow's udder. First statement. Now, cow eats a plant. The plant has absorbed calcium from the earth, and therefore the cow stores the calcium in her body. We then kill the child, steal the milk. How about we avoid all of that and just directly eat the plants instead? Next slide. Now, this is a pet peeve of mine. Why wasn't this shown to us in school? When we were in school, if you want to get calcium, what should you consume? Milk. It was literally put into our minds. So I agree with that. Milk has high amounts of calcium. I'm not contesting that at all. But that's not the only source of calcium. There are so many other sources of calcium. For example, this thing here that says 690 milligrams, that is what you call as ragi millet. Heard of it? It's a millet. It's not expensive. If you were to replace the rice or chapati you're eating for one meal with ragi, you will get almost all the calcium your body needs in just that one meal. It's super high in calcium. Next, sesame seeds, till seeds, especially the black ones. You know how high in calcium they are? For example, in India, we make these sweets and use jaggery, and then we make these black sesame seed laddus. Seen that? If you were to have just 2 of those laddus, there's an insane amount of calcium in it, far higher than milk ever has. Please do not let this marketing confuse you. Yes, I repeat myself very well. Milk definitely has a lot of calcium in it. It's not the highest in terms of calcium, and there are many other sources of plant calcium available out there. So please go online, take some time and do some research about this. You'll easily be able to figure out from which foods you can get your nutrients from. Next slide. Now it's very important we talk about these two, and that is vitamin B12 and vitamin D. Now the first thing I want to say is that I always prefer to be scientifically accurate in the speeches I give. Just because I'm a vegan, I refuse to be biased. If something is positive for vegans, I'll say it's positive. If something is negative for us, I'll say it's negative. This is one of the smaller, you can say, downsides. You have to be careful about it. Basically, what is vitamin B12? It's scientifically called as cobalamin, and this vitamin is essential for human beings, and it's actually produced not by plants, not by animals, but by microorganisms that exist in the soil, in the water bodies, and in our own bodies. When the animal eats directly from the ground, they get this microorganism and they get vitamin B12. It is stored on their flesh. So when you kill the animal and eat the animal, obviously you get vitamin B12. Then how on earth do vegans get vitamin B12? And the answer is, we don't. Not from any natural source. Because veganism is, first of all, not a natural diet for human beings. Human beings are omnivorous creatures. We evolved in the jungle as hunter-gatherers, not just gatherers. Veganism is possible today because we have the technology to cultivate enough crops to feed the population and also cultivate vitamin B12 supplements. Vegans have to supplement with a vitamin B12 supplement. There is no other source of vitamin B12 for us. Second thing is vitamin D, the sunshine hormone. You see, when you go and expose yourself to sunlight, your body will start producing vitamin D. But you have to do that on a regular basis for 20 to 30 minutes every single day. If you're someone who likes to sit indoors all the time and just scroll through on Facebook or Instagram and you're not going and getting exercise, then it's difficult for you. You could consider taking a vitamin D supplement. Doesn't matter whether you're a vegan or a non-vegan. Many people in this modern day and age have vitamin D problems. You can get a blood work done at a hospital and find out what your levels are. Now, this is not expensive again. Now, I'm not being paid by any brand here, but this is an example. There's a brand in India called as Unived, UNIVED. They make these vegan supplements. And if you buy, say, a bottle of 150 tablets of both vitamin D and B12, it will set you back by around 9 to 10 rupees per day. That's it. It's just 10 rupees per day to just take both of these. You can take the alternate day if you want to, or once a day is also fine. But vitamin B12 supplementation is 100% obligatory for vegans because we cannot get this nutrient through any other natural source. Next slide. Now I will be wrapping up shortly. And before I do, there's one more thing I want to talk about, and that is veganism is not perfect. You see, like I said in the beginning, veganism, unlike vegetarianism, is a stance against all forms of animal exploitation. But right now, in this modern day and age, there are scenarios and situations that we vegans currently do not have a solution to. Let's go one by one. You see a monkey there being tied up, looking at us. That's what we call as animal testing for pharmaceuticals. In this country, in order for you to pass a pharmaceutical drug, it has to go through animal testing first before it reaches us humans. Animal testing is just as cruel and horrific, if not worse, than the slaughterhouse footage you guys just witnessed. They do horrifying things to monkeys, cats, dogs, and especially mice, and even rabbits. They pour these liquids and chemicals on their face, their eyes, and torture them in various ways to find out how their skin reacts, just to be sure that our skin doesn't, go through the same aggravations as well. This is something we vegans at the current moment do not have a foolproof solution to. And I'll be completely honest and openly admit that. If someone is sick right now, someone is dying and they need a surgery, I can't tell to them like, hey, be a vegan and just die. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. For some people, medications become necessary, without which they just can't survive. And I can't go to someone and just ask them to stop that. I have to be able to give them a counter solution to it. In order to fight against animal testing, it cannot be done at us, the consumer base at the moment. It is being done on a legislative level, meaning that there are scientists and people from around the world. They're inventing technologies. For example, they're cultivating these human cell tissues in a petri dish and directly testing how the human cells react when the medication is put on it. Not to mention that this modern day technology, did you know right now, to test tobacco and the effect it has on human lungs, you don't necessarily have to even have a human lung. They force these rats to smoke cigarettes, by the way. What they're doing right now is, we are able to cultivate, like my lung, if I give a sample of my flesh or my blood, they can use that, my DNA, to cultivate my own lung, but just in a very small manner. That's this big. And then we can directly test on the organ instead of seeing how the chemical or the substance affects the organ. There are ways that are being figured out at this point in time, but this is a big process. Understand, there are so many people making billions of dollars in breeding these animals and selling them off to these experimentation laboratories, and they are not just going to let us waltz through and come up with new solutions. We are trying from our side, but right now, if you ask me, Arvind, if you're sick, will you go to the doctor or not? Yeah, I will go to the doctor. That's my answer. Next, you have, not that, I'm sorry, back. Here you have two ox plowing the field. In English, we call that as beast of burden. People around the world use ox, buffaloes, horses, donkeys, many other animals, even elephants as well. Right now, if you ask me when I go to the supermarket and I buy vegetables or fruits, Arvind, are you sure that an ox was not used to plow the field to make your food? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. If you ask me, are you sure that an ox was not used to bring these fruits to your local supermarket far from a village? Again, the answer is, I don't know. There's no way to tell. There is no labeling system. There is no way to differentiate these things at this point in time. We vegans still recognize this is a problem. Animals are being exploited and abused for this. And we, from my heart, I'll say I don't support this, but I guess, unfortunately, through my money, I am supporting this because I don't know who does what these days. Maybe we'll eventually move towards a world where only vehicles and tractors and harvesters take over. Until then, this is happening. We vegans are aware of it. I want to be open and honest with you people. The final thing is this. People ask me, if a mosquito bites me, Will I kill the mosquito or will I let the mosquito drink my blood? Obviously, I'm killing the mosquito because I don't want to get dengue or malaria. Understand that self-defense is always acceptable. I had a student once where was that? Near Bangalore. A student asked me, if a tiger were to walk into this room or a lion were to walk into this room and try killing one of us, what would you do, Mr. Animal Activist? I told him if I had a gun, I'd probably shoot the tiger or lion in the head. And they're like, see, you're not consistent with your point. You'll say you'll kill the animal. I told him, wait. I also believe in human rights. If a terrorist walked in here, I'll shoot him as well. Understand that if one life is going to harm another life, I'm going to stand on the side of the innocent life. In this scenario, these are wild. If you ask me the question like, bro, what solution does veganism have? My house is infested with rats. How can veganism help solve this? Veganism cannot help solve that. Veganism is not an end-all foolproof solution to solve every single problem on earth for animals, okay? Veganism can only solve the part where we humans are, remember the word breeding? We are breeding billions of animals into existence every single year for food, clothing, entertainment, and animal testing in the name of cosmetics. Mind you, we don't take cosmetics to be alive, we take it to look better. Vegans do not take any cosmetics or test on animals. They are still consistent in that way. This can solve all of that. This wild animal-human animal conflict will always exist. That's a completely different subject altogether. And expecting vegans to have solutions for that is just asking way too much of us. This conflict will exist, but I ask you to think about this. When was the last time a cow, a chicken, a pig or a buffalo ever attacked you? Never? We attack them every day, so it's not the same. Okay, now before we finally wrap things up, I want to show you guys one last video, and trust me, you can definitely keep your eyes open and watch this video. Yeah. Okay, so I was observing everyone's face here when the video was playing, and I must say that everyone's face looked much different as opposed to when the first video played. And I have a theory for this. I'm not saying this theory is always right, but it works most of the times. You see, we all have something called as a gut feeling. Sometimes you can just see something and tell, man, something just feels so wrong here. I can't explain it in words. I don't know how to put it, but I can just feel it. Something is just not right. It's just so wrong. At the same time, you also feel like, you know what? I think this is amazing. This is beautiful. You see, when the first video played, everyone was like, oh my God. Oh my God. That was the constant reaction I saw everywhere. For this video, I saw wide eyes, big smiles, giggling faces, and people thinking, hey, so that's so cool. So the big girl, so cool. So the point is that when we humans see animals happy and frolicking and playing, we tend to react in the same way we would react when we see young human children being happy, frolicking, and playing. Because when you think about it, animals are pretty much like human children. They're not too smart up here. They are weak and they're vulnerable. And we exploit them because they're weak and vulnerable. Understand that when we are smarter, physically stronger, or more capable than someone, we have to recognize the power difference and use that to protect those who are weaker than us and not use that to take advantage of them. The thing is, inherently, we all know that exploiting, torturing, and killing animals is wrong. And having a world in which they live free among us, happy and free, is beautiful. But the question is, it's easy to say that, but will you actually help me create that? This is my last presentation before I end speaking. Do you guys know what movie this is from? Matrix, exactly. So in this movie, first of all, for those of you who don't know what the Matrix means a fake world. Basically, a world in which you've been conditioned and brainwashed to believe something, and most importantly, never question it. Wake up at this time, study here, pray here, do this, eat this, go there. Don't question anything. Keep doing whether you like it or not. Grow up, get married, have kids, get them married, and die. That's it. It's like we're all like robots. We've been trained to do particular things. No, I won't question it. That's called the matrix. To live inside a bubble. It's okay to be in a bubble. I'm not blaming anybody. But we should be willing to introspect. And we all have a choice right now. The only good is knowledge and the only evil is ignorance. It doesn't matter what opinion you had about veganism or about animals before you entered this room. But now that you heard me speak for the past almost 1 hour, you have learned that there is a form of discrimination called as speciesism, which is akin to racism, sexism, casteism, ableism, or any form of discrimination. You have seen the true horrors that animals have to go through to end up as meat, dairy, and eggs on our plate. You have learned that it is possible to get your nutrients, except for vitamin B12 and vitamin D, through plant sources. For those two nutrients, you have to take a supplement. And apart from that, you also innately now know that when animals are harmed or suffered, you don't like it. Yet, when they're happy and free, you do innately as a human being like it. It's my aim as an activist is basically this. I'm trying to create what we vegans call as animal liberation. Animal liberation means creating a society where animals too can live liberated in this world. And I need everyone's help to create that world. But the help I'm about to ask you is the most difficult thing, because I don't want your money. I don't want your friendship. I don't want you to be a fan of me. I'm asking you for the most difficult thing, and that is, I'm asking you to please consider changing the way you live. Because it's easy to say, you know what, I'm against animal abuse. When I asked, is eating a dog unnecessarily animal abuse? Everyone said, yes, 100%. Well, eating meat, dairy, and eggs and honey involves extraordinary amounts of animal cruelty, and it's not necessary for us right now in this modern day and age in order to survive and thrive, which means it is animal abuse. I request you to please walk the talk. Please consider being a vegan and help me creating a better world for animals. Thank you so much for your time. Now, we will be opening this platform up for Q&A. It's right now 1:44. Since we started a bit late.